things eternal. Come on and hold to God's unchanging hand, 'cause there is love in his hand. Yeah, Lord.
Yo, check it out, brother Hiram Akeem here hanging out. Hey, we do this thing every week. We want to tell somebody, if you like this video, hit thumbs up. Tell a friend. We acting up every Tuesday, man. Listen, right now, I'm chilling with the man. The mystery is no mystery because you know your history. This is Brother Stephen Muhammad representing Akron, Ohio.
Yes, sir.
Tell everybody what you represent right now, bro.
Muhammad's Mosque, number 37, Akron, Ohio. Also known as I mentioned to your brother earlier, the hip hop DJ
That's right.
and the hip hop minister, because we go all the way back to the roots when we first were becoming conscious, real hip hop, and I try to incorporate that in everything I do because I believe that is the conscious art form.
Well, that's what's up. Speaking about being conscious and everything like that, as you can see in the background, we got the Brother Hiram Akeem website. We letting everybody know we full blast with it. My brother Ace called it the Terror Dome, and that's what we bringing. We bringing terror in your area. Now listen, man, real quick, man. I asked the brother Stephen Muhammad to come through so we can put forth some proper propaganda, some
Yes,
righteous
sir.
rhetoric, and you know, with this particular form and program, what better way to kick it off with the man himself right here in the physical? Tell somebody something, man.
Listen, it's my first time being down in your new location. I can't tell you how thrilled I am and humbled, brother,
Word.
to be here. You know, service is my thing. I knew that when I was a youngster. I'm going to serve some kind of way. I just didn't know how.
Right.
And as things unfolded and progressed, you know, I'm becoming the person that I'm in front of you, that you have in front of you now. And likewise with you and your brother.
Get out of here.
As I mentioned to him earlier, you know, we were all youngsters, man, coming up, thought we were on the track we were going to be on.
We did.
And now, 25 years later, just looking at how our lives have unfolded and how we're still on course. You got many people that, your old homeboys, your friends, some of them may be in prison. I mean, this war that's been made against black men in specifics now, that's 400 years old. This is not new. We're going to get to that because I know you wanted to talk about some of these current events that aren't so current.
Right.
They really they're an extension, in my view, of what's been going on since we got here. And there's a reason why, as we'll get to later on, these events are happening, and protesting and all that won't change that.
You said protesting
Protesting
will not change that.
won't change it. Hasn't changed it, won't change it.
So listen, real quick before we dive into that, I got a question just to jump off the bat.
Yes, sir.
You're hearing Black Lives Matter. You're hearing All Lives Matter. Hell, I just heard Blue Lives Matter. I think Purple Lives Matter and Green Lives are, everything is mattering. Now, when you hear something like that, man, I'm just going to flat out ask you, do Black Lives Matter?
Yes, Black Lives Matter, but to whom
Okay.
do Black Lives Matter? We did a post in the Reporter newspaper. We have an ongoing article, The Losing of a Chosen Generation. And each time an event takes place, locally in Akron and on the national scene, we try to look at it from the perspective, what is this an indication of? And what might this mean to the bigger scheme of things that is taking place that we might not be able to see because of how massive it is? And in so doing, one of the reports when Raphael Thomas was murdered by Akron police,
Right.
and around that same time, more attention was being paid nationally to Freddie Gray in Baltimore and some other police killings that had taken place. And after those events take place and happen, then there's a little skirmish among us. Black men fighting with each other, sometimes a death is the result. And what I noticed, especially when Trayvon Martin was murdered by Zimmerman, and then right here locally we had
Tamir?
a killing that took place. Not Tamir, this is before Tamir.
Okay.
Willie Brewer was killed in front of Mr. Pantry.
Go ahead, speak on that.
Both 17 years old. Both at that threshold where they're about to go out into their lives, man, and experience manhood and all the things that that young, promising 17-year-old is looking at. Naturally, Trayvon Martin's case made it all the way to the White House. President Obama said something to the effect, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
I said, wow. The president is actually identifying with something black. A black man's struggle.
Right,
you know?
right.
And I thought that was a turning point for him. But when Willie Brewer was killed, there was no national marches. It didn't even hardly get ink in the local newspapers. Nobody was talking about it. And we raised the question, what's the difference? If Black Lives Matter, do they matter each time? Or are we only concerned when a white man or other murders us? But then when we have the issue that has been ongoing, 40 times that of others killing us is us killing us, that's a serious issue. So if Black lives don't matter to us, then in effect, they don't matter. Whether they matter to white folks or others or not, I can't be concerned with that. We got to look at what does it matter to me. Now, I got 4 sons and 1 daughter. So when they leave the house now, whenever there's a surge, like what just recently happened in Louisiana.
In Minnesota?
And in Minnesota. Now there's a surge again. Now we're back in the street protesting again. Now we got to do something. And I don't think that asking others to stop killing us is going to be as effective as it could be if we would say to ourselves, and we're going to show you how that looks because we're going to stop doing it too. And there's a whole mindset and illness that's attached to us killing us that we can get to if we have time today. But yeah, Black Lives Matter, but to whom, man? We gotta see ourselves first is important.
You know, that's a good point, man. Now, you said that we in Akron, Ohio, for those that don't know, Blackron, Ohio, that's what I call it.
Yes. Sir.
Copyrighted that already.
Go ahead.
Blackron, Ohio, home of LeBron James. You said you had some a little insight from my invite, a little knowledge I can't get in college about this dude. What's going on?
If you live in Akron, you know people who love LeBron,
Right.
and then there's a strange element out here that hate LeBron. I had a brother tell me, and I'm not making this up, but you can't make this kind of stuff up. He said, I don't like LeBron James. I said, okay, well, why? He said to me, because LeBron James doesn't like children.
What?
Yeah. I couldn't even continue our discussion. I just said, okay, I know what I'm dealing with here. This is pure sickness, right? Mental illness.
Foolery.
Right, foolery, tomfoolery, and that ended that conversation. But he showed me something that we know has gone on with us, the whole inferiority complex that's the result of being under constant attack and having false messages sent to us by the mainstream media and every other place of learning in our experience here in America. And we come away thinking that we don't have any value. So when somebody that's young, that's talented, handsome, all of that, is doing his thing and he's from where you live, and you don't like him because of some made-up reason like that, then I know that the person's heart is full of disease. And when you see that happening, you look around and say, well, what else is that? What else is resonating there that may be an indication of something good that we can do and also some concerns we might have? So when the Cavaliers won this championship recently, when LeBron James came back to Cleveland, came back home to Akron, you notice how Cleveland always steals area
Glory.
talent.
The glory.
Right.
Right.
And there was a small post that came out on my Twitter page that says, "You're welcome, Cleveland." And then there was underneath that was signed Akron.
Right.
Because this young brother, and he almost did this by himself. And we're not going to talk a whole lot about LeBron because we could be here for a while.
Right.
Because I have some interesting observations about our brother, man, as he's related to and compared with Kobe and Michael Jordan and these guys. But what he did for Cleveland and what he did for this whole area dwarfed what Kobe did for Los Angeles and what Michael Jordan did for Chicago. Those are already winning institutions.
I agree.
Right, with a tradition of winning teams, whether it be basketball or another sport, especially Los Angeles. So for Kobe to go into that and do something great, okay, that's nice, man. You got your 5 rings with a winning cast around you, might I add, and unlimited
With Shaq.
resources.
Shaq was there.
Right, Shaq was there. And of course, we know about Michael Jordan and the cast of characters that he attracted, man, in a winning institution with unlimited resources. But for LeBron to do it in Cleveland,
Say I'm coming back.
right, came back home after all the hate that he caught, all the stress that was on him to give a ring to Cleveland. Getting rings in Miami was not the same. And I had always said and still say to this moment, one ring in Cleveland for him equaled 5 for
Right,
Jordan, 6 for Jordan, and 5 for Kobe, and anybody else that was boasting about rings. For him to do it in Cleveland, man, was spectacular. But to do it in dramatic fashion, in record-breaking fashion, unprecedented fashion, with all the stress that was on him. But along with that stellar performance, all the minutes that he's played, more than any other person in playoff history, right? The brutalization that he takes in the media, on the court, to remain balanced in all of that. To not be in grave clothes. Most of the time when our young men come out of high school and get on the big stage and have no grooming, no cultivation, and they handle that the way he has, man, and showing a certain level of fashion, style, dignity with that. Family man, loves his children, for that person to say he don't like children.
Yeah, right.
Loves his family, and has maintained balance with all of this. That part, to me, is the most unprecedented part that should be being talked about. Not what he did in the court, but what he's doing in his personal life. Now, you have people who say, well, he could be doing more for Akron. Right? And my question to those folks is, so what are you doing? Not for Akron, but for your own neighborhood, for your own household.
Right.
Because, if you're looking for a savior to come save us, and I'm a grown man with the same opportunities that any grown man has, if I want another grown man to come in and save my situation, then that tells me, and anyone that watches me, I still have the slave mentality. Please come in, solve my problem, bring your manhood in, because manhood ultimately means an individual who can change reality. I can impose my will on a situation and change it. That's what manhood ultimately is, right? So you don't find other men asking other men to come into their neighborhood and make it right. That's our job. But because we haven't done that means that we're not really thinking like men yet. What I saw LeBron James do, and we posted this on our webpage, and we also, hopefully soon, the reporter will be publishing it, because one of the greatest things I saw was LeBron James, not only did he bring a ring to Cleveland and break the curse and all that stuff, but whenever he would start a game, you see him in this messianic pose. He throws the baby powder up, and then his arms are outstretched, his head back. It's as though he's on a cross. And he has been on a virtual cross. He's been on a certain kind of social cross, the athletic cross, and just in the general black man cross that all of us are lugging around this camp, right?
Right.
He's got all that going on, and to me, he represented an element of this young generation that is designed to do something very special. He's doing on the world stage, but that element is also present right in the community. And hopefully on your program, as you get out on the streets and talk with young people, we'll be able to highlight and uncover that element, man, and give them some airtime, because they really deserve it.
And, and that's a good thing. First off, I want to thank you for breaking that whole LeBron James thing down. Now, I've ESPN, Fox News, 92.3 The Fan, all have their personal opinions. I'm talking about all the different DJs, different personalities, different VJs, whatever you want to call them, prognosticators, have their own personal views about LeBron. Now here's a man, Brother Stephen Muhammad, from the same city, Akron, Ohio.
Okay.
Same bus system, same Summit Lake,
Right.
same Spring Hill. I mean, seeing all that stuff. Who can tell you about some of the things that he see on this level. Now, it's one thing for a prognosticator, sports prognosticator, to say something from ESPN in Bristol, Connecticut. Connecticut, you know what I'm saying?
Sir,
That's
exactly.
to say it from there. But when you get the grand authority, that I like to say, of Blackburn, Ohio, Brother Minister Stephen Muhammad, saying something, you know it's got to be some truth to it. But speaking about truth, man, I want to touch on a little bit about what's been going on with these shootings and these killings, man, with these executions for our people that's been happening, man. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yes, sir.
I don't bite my tongue when I say this stuff. I am totally equipped to handle somebody trying to take advantage of me in my home. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Is
Understood.
not my home an extension of me? Yeah, you're supposed to take care of yourself and your extended self.
Right, we're obligated.
Right,
to do
obligated, right? And then also, my car is an extension of my home, yes or no?
That. It's a living space. You're exactly right.
Right, so I am completely prepared, what word did you use obligated?
Obligated.
To
That's
protect my possessions and myself and my extended self, be it my fiance, my kid, or whatever, right? So why aren't us as a whole having that mentality?
You remember in the early 90s, Minister Farrakhan was going around the country on a Stop the Killing tour.
Yeah, I remember.
Shortly after that, he began doing a Attack on Black Youth tour. That was a very short tour, and then, of course, all that culminated in the Million Man March.
Right.
The Million Man March, among other things, was designed to thwart the efforts of a government. Pharaoh said, let us deal wisely with them, lest they remember the evil that we did, join an enemy of ours, and come against us. Kill the male babies.
Right.
Spare the female babies. Kill the men, spare the women. The male babies in this context equal our young boys. The two mechanisms, and this is going to hurt some of the viewers, but they got to hear this. The two mechanisms that have been used in America, and this is not me saying this, these are white men who have designed this. Adam Smith, some others who put the whole democratic theme together. We think we're voting and all that, but it's a whole other layer under that.
Yes, sir.
But control was the dominating factor, the denominator that was common to everything that they put together. So they said, how do we corral people so that we can make sure that all of them get the same message and act upon it? And religion was one. The school system was the other. And now you could add media to that. But religion and school system were the key things. Now we have a generation that are not going to church. They never did go to synagogue, and we're fighting like hell to get them in the mosque, right?
Yes, sir.
Because we're losing them. We're losing the influence that we once had over them, and they're not going to school. So those two mechanisms that were used for control are now no longer have the effect that they once had. And so we have a generation that is thinking different. Now that's looked at as a negative. People are saying, what's going to happen if you quit school? What's going to happen to your life? But keep watching, because God is doing something too. Remember that same scenario with Moses and the children of Israel. The youth were chosen because the elders were afraid.
Right, that's right.
But it was 40 years they wandered in the wilderness. Just enough time for another generation to be born that wouldn't be under the control and fear of Pharaoh.
Different mindset.
Right. That's what's happening right now. That's a key element. And so when we look at the young people and the attack that's going on, these police shootings, they're killing mainly young black men. And I think that's done purposely. You and I have something in our seed that is now, the time that we're in now, it's time for it to come up and take its rightful place. That's you and me.
Right.
What's in the testicle of the black man is sacred to God, right?
Right.
It was the same thing with Jesus. He didn't just want one man. He wanted the whole earth to be filled with that mindset. And even though everybody thinks that Jesus loved everybody, right?
Right.
We argue. Let's look at exactly what he said,
And
what he did,
right.
and then you find that, yes, he did love, but his love was for a specific population first, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's black people in America, hands down.
Right.
And if we are being slaughtered, just like he was killed, and if we're on a cross, just like he was, then if those are indicators, brother, then the way that story plays out, we can see we're going to see the same events happen for us. It's not going to end with us dying at the hand of white militants and all that, that may look like what's going to happen. But as this goes further, and if you look at these most recent protests, you have a mixed multitude protesting, right? That was what was prescribed to go out with Moses. He went out with a mixed multitude. It wasn't just the children of Israel that was that specific group that was under Pharaoh's thumb. A mixed multitude went out with him. Some of Pharaoh's people said, hey, we don't want this no more.
Right.
And they bounced. We're going with Moses. Moses is God. That was the exact language, right?
Right.
So what does that mean for today? You see the scriptures being played out right in front of our face. And what's interesting is our sports figures, when Carmelo and when Tamir Rice was killed, and these things were happening, you saw now this consciousness now coming with our sports figures.
Right.
Recently, Snoop Dogg and The Game were out in the West Coast protesting, right? They not only have tremendous influence, but they also have wealth. Michael Jackson, same thing. So all of these are elements that the enemy says we're losing control. So we'll just now outright extinguish.
That's that media.
Yes,
what was
sir.
once used to control. You have certain things that I like to call slipping through the cracks, because you can see the independent or free will thinking of a Snoop Dogg. Speaking of Snoop Dogg, real quick, thing that just blows me away. How is he popular America right now? He's pop, man. I mean, you see him on the Family Feud, you see him everywhere, and they love everything he represents. Everything he represents, right?
Isn't that amazing?
And he can get out there and pull a protest together, and imagine what it smelled like. I'm just kicking the real. I'm just saying for real. But it's acceptable behavior, right?
Yes, sir.
So, look, we can go on days and days, on and on. We have to get you back here, man, so we can continue some of this knowledge that you're dropping, man. And furthermore, let people know where they can check you out at, bro.
Look at the blog site. WordPress is where most of our, or no, better yet, just Google the losing of a chosen generation, and it'll take you right to the site. That's the fastest way to get there. To look at some of the writings that we've put together in an attempt to illustrate the elders' role in this, because if the babies got lost, where was mama and daddy when that was going on? I can't just walk in your house and take your children and walk out.
Right.
Unless something is going on there. So we explore that. And other aspects of this whole dynamic that I think are relevant to elevating the consciousness of not just black folks, but anyone that's now willing to be courageous enough to take an interest. And of course, our location, I'll just give the number, 877-657-3738, 877-657-3738. That's the best way to contact us. And, you know, we're still doing our mosque thing. We're still on the street.
Let them know about the day.
1341 Copley Road. We share a space. In fact, the United Black Firefighters, if you're familiar with that location, that's where we're located now. We're having our meetings there. Sunday's the main day, 11 o'clock a.m., and we're there through the week, Wednesday, Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. for the study class and study circles.
Hey, look, somebody better tell somebody they need to get involved, and that's what this show is all about.
Yes, sir.
Brother Hiram Akeem, making it happen. Listen, if you like the video, you like the knowledge that my man was dropping, hit that like button. Tell somebody, man. We do this thing every week. Hiram Akeem, man, for the Reporter Newspaper Online.com, Mecca Media Entertainment. We out.